Watching this great movie, Dumb Money, folks. How about that? My name is Josh Horowitz. I host a podcast called Happy Sad Confused. But tonight, my honor, my privilege, is to talk about this insane, mad, entertaining movie, Dumb Money. I mean, I don't know how they made this thing up. Oh wait, this is true? This is true? Holy crap, it's true. We're gonna delve into all of it tonight. We have a bunch of exciting guests that are gonna fill up these seats in just a moment. Without any further ado, we're gonna bring out some writers, some actors, and we're gonna have a good time talking about this amazing movie, shall we? Okay, first up, writer, executive producer, Rebecca Angelo, please join us. Fellow writer, executive producer, Schuker, Blum, please join us. America Ferrara is here. And Mr. Paul Dano is here. Come on. These guys have not been through the true press tour, so this is new. This is not the 300th interview, so I'm getting you fresh. How are you guys feeling about Dumb Money, finally able to talk about it?
A little nervous. Although excited now that we see people out there.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed you didn't come in wardrobe though today. Have you not absorbed that into your repertoire? Is that not part of your?
No, but I'll tell you what. When I first read the script, one of the things I did in the days either before or after I talked to the director, Craig Gillespie, was as soon as I watched his YouTube videos, it's like, oh my God, this guy is just beautiful. He had this spirit, that you just, it was like, oh, I want to spend time with that, that person would be good for me, Paul. And I remember, getting a headband, I think just on Amazon, and putting it on and just sitting in front of the mirror with a little tape recorder and like, can I do this? Before I can't remember if I'd already been asked to do the part or if it was before that, but there's like this moment you kind of go through where if you like something, you also go like, can I do this? And the headband was important in making me feel like I could do it.
It does feel like I was gonna say this later on, but almost like you were cast a little bit against type. I feel like you and Seth could have traded roles, and that's almost like the more like typical way to cast this. And it works obviously so well the way it was done.
That's funny. That's great. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I did feel like I actually feel like that he's probably more like me than a lot of the characters I play. So I felt like really happy to get the chance to sort of sit in front of the computer and be weird.
Finally, the true Paul that we know and love. Rebecca, Lauren, let's talk about this amazing film. You are the writers of this, of course, and you have a fascinating background. I want to hear about that, but first I want to hear about your interaction with the story. Like in real time, were you watching this happen and thinking this can be a movie? Like when did it kind of turn into what it became?
Well, it all came together really quickly, honestly. The events that you saw on screen took place mostly in January and February of 2021. I think by March or April, we were off to draft. Hollywood has a very keen censor for stories like this that will make good movies that have at least a little bit of a happy ending. So once this started happening, I think Lauren and I were watching it just as lay people play out on the news like everybody else, I think, kind of agog. And then very quickly, Hollywood switched into gear, and there were, I think, 9 competing projects right out of the gate. So we were, the premier piece of intellectual property was the treatment for Ben Mesrick's book. And Ben is a great guy, and he's written a wonderful book and a terrific reporter. And so Lauren and I were lucky enough to get the job to adapt his as yet unwritten book, and we were off to the races. So we like to say a little bit that it's like getting on a roller coaster kind of midway through the ride. We watched just as spectators while the bulk of the action played out, but then we hopped on, the first car and rode along with WallStreetBets and with the Reddit community and fully immersed ourselves and really became invested in the stock in more ways than one as the rest of the story played out and we were trying to write the script.
And we have a background as daily reporters. So when we were hired, we were told, write this as fast as humanly possible, but don't hand it in until it's perfect. So we're sort of constantly going back and forth in our writing process of screenwriter hat, reporter hat, and we really wanted to get to know this amazing community that bought into the stock. And we were struck by how diverse the people were. The two characters, these two play, show two poles of it, but it's really extraordinary the number of people that got involved in the stock market for the first time with the story. And we were very moved by that. But yes, the whole process was kind of like method writing, because we were living the story, we were wearing masks still, it was still the pandemic.
And probably still changing even while you're in production. I mean, the aftermath of it, and it's still going on in some ways.
Absolutely.
So, America, when this comes around, have you been following GameStop at all? Was this totally like, what is this? Is this a piece of fiction, nonfiction? What am I reading? What was your interaction with it?
I heard about I knew what GameStop was. I had heard about the GameStop situation on NPR. And I remember the moment I kind of tuned into what was happening. I was driving in LA over a freeway pass that had turned into essentially like a tent city, and it was like, pandemic, homelessness had like, gone through the roof kind of everywhere, and definitely in LA. We were looking at tent cities in our city, and then on the radio they're talking about like GameStop. I was like, what is happening in our world? That was the moment that it really penetrated. And then I really didn't follow it at all. I just kind of, I didn't really quite understand what was happening. And when I read the script was beautifully written and interesting, and Craig, I'm a big fan of Craig's and was excited to get to work with him. I think the thing that compelled me the most was this character, and really, her profile kind of being not what you expect, of somebody who kind of goes all in this endeavor. And there was more, she's somewhat based on a character in the book named Kim, who was in fact a nurse in a psych ward, actually. And she was like a 2-time Trump voter, even in 2020, after she had worked in a hospital through the pandemic. And I was really interested in exploring her and exploring kind of what on the surface felt like a lot of contradictions in terms of what she stood for and what she believed. And so for me, it felt like getting to kind of transcend whatever those labels and preconceptions I had about her, or we have about people, and try to understand what is driving this woman. Like, that was the most exciting part of the character to me.
Well, that's the whole thing of the story, right? Is putting the human face on this story that, for many of us, and myself included, it's like your kind of eyes glaze over. You're like, what is this? I don't understand anything about this world. And it's a real accomplishment that you guys have put many human faces in this amazing ensemble that are all in the same movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are lots of stories in this that could all feel like they're like, oh, they're in one movie, they're in another. And that's a true accomplishment of both direction and writing, I would say.
Not the acting.
I was waiting for that. These guys had to act
Strong
alone.
third, strong third. I've known Paul a long time, so I'm not going to take offense to that.
Paul sat, for days, he sat in a basement acting completely alone, and it's such a testament to his talent. I mean, how good those scenes are.
So did you guys? No, I don't want any applause. No, but we're cut off. We're not doing it. Did you interact at all with the real life Kim or Keith? I mean, was that important to you, or did you want to keep your distance? What was the attitude about talking to the real life participants here?
No, I didn't. But also when we spoke, it was a bit about, we talked about it being an amalgamation, right? That there was inspiration there by that character, but it was also, you had drawn from other characters that you had met and spoken to. And so it didn't necessarily feel like this is the woman I'm playing. And it moved fast. Like, I don't know how quickly everyone else got engaged, but I spoke to Craig, and then it was like, cool, you're on set in 7 days. And so we got on the phone, and then it was over in 6 days. And I said hi to Paul. My first day was Paul's last day. We were like, bye. And then we were all kind of making our own short, long extended short films.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I wish I'd gotten to meet Keith, and it just didn't feel like that's sort of what he might have wanted. And it did sort of feel like the way he left his online presence, to me it felt a little bit like a samurai walking off into like the distance, you know, and I was like, okay, he doesn't want to be found, but he's out there somewhere. And so I just sort of chose to go with that. And also, I mean, I can't imagine to be, to go through what he went through with those billionaires and with Congress, and how scary that must have been. And so it felt too soon almost to yeah.
I'm also curious, I mean, in watching the film, the use of archival footage and melding that with the actors' performances, like, so how does that work from a writing perspective? Are you simultaneously like doing these deep dives on YouTube and then saying, oh, that clip could work in this context here? Like, how does that exactly work?
Yeah, I think, you know, this film is compared to Wolf of Wall Street, and
Big
Big
Short.
Short. And when we were writing, we realized, you know, what do we compare to that? But actually, it's a very different kind of story. It's a sort of bottom-up tale about people who are teaching themselves what a short squeeze was, what shorting a stock was in the moment. And we were watching this play out on TikTok in real time. And so in writing the script, we actually compiled, they're in the script, as these little kind of supercuts of like TikTok videos. And we felt that was really the most honest way to show how people learned about the stock market.
Yeah, we looked at the films of Frank Capra and the tradition of populist cinema for inspiration in that regard. You know, we were talking a lot about like, well, what's our answer to The Big Short? You know, Adam McKay does this brilliant job of like putting Margot Robbie in a bathtub and she explains shorting, and that's great for that movie. What is our version of that when this is really from the ground up, as Lauren said? And we thought, you know, there was kind of something radical about taking TikTok videos that were filmed in college dorm rooms and elevating them to the stuff of cinema, putting them, you know, alongside a monologue from the greats here. And so we, you know, and these were really, this is how the actual members of the community learned the stuff. They taught each other. And so Lauren and I did a painstaking and like really rudimentary.
Craig Gillespie made fun of them and then made them much prettier on
Yes,
screen.
and Kirk Baxter also. But we scripted them. We wrote them. We wrote the dialogue out in the script, and we using Splice, the editing software on your phone. It's not even software; it's an app. We're really not of this world, but we cut together very, very basic versions of those that then became beautiful in the hands of Kirk Baxter, our editor, and Craig.
And for you guys, America and Paul, is it, I mean, there's a lot of material besides just the script that you could dive into, should you so desire. Did you find that, I mean, were you down the YouTube rabbit hole on his YouTube channel? I would imagine a lot.
Yeah, if you haven't seen, I mean, I think his YouTube channel's wonderful, and he's really funny, and he's so, he's somebody who, it's just like, I'm here, this is me, and he was so, you know, I'm so much more self-conscious than that. I wanted like his confidence almost or something, you know, to wear the cat shirt. And the way we did it in the film, but one of his first videos, the way he handles comments that are coming in, I didn't even know if those were real or if he was doing that as a bit or what. Like even the way he took like criticism was so like, it was incredible. He somehow turned it, he was positive, he would take it, and like, I was like, man, this guy's awesome. But he has these very deep dive stock videos as well, where he teaches you how he trades, how he follows it, what websites he uses, how he lays out a spreadsheet and all that. And then once the GameStop stuff took off, I mean, his videos there was a lot. I don't know that I made it through every minute of there's so much. I did make it through a lot. So that was, you know, aside from the script and the book, I would say that his YouTube channel was definitely like home base for me.
You mentioned America, Craig Gillespie being a big draw for this. I mean, he's a filmmaker that I'm just obsessed with. Like, if you look at his filmography, a guy that can make Lars and the Real Girl and Cruella and I, Tonya, like, oh, there's something interesting going on with this guy. He's got some range. What appealed to you about working with him? Was it simply the work you'd seen, and what did he deliver on set that made him an interesting filmmaker to work with?
Well, I've always found him to be able to kind of walk such a thin line between comedy and drama, and also make me watch things that I don't actually want to be watching, but I can't stop watching. And I, you know, I think I've just always been a fan for that reason. And I thought this was such an interesting topic. I was fascinated. There were so many documentaries out about it by the time the film was being made. I watched a lot of those documentaries, and it was such a almost intoxicating culture that you get a sense of here, but the culture of the Reddit, the culture of the TikTok and the YouTube, and how the adrenaline rush and the hits of what's it called, serotonin? That's it, right? Sorry, I'm so tired. I thought that, you know, that I really thought that he would do something so fun and so interesting with the different tones that were happening in the piece between the billionaires in their mansions in Miami and you know, that incredible kind of pump up culture that was happening online and building this. I was fascinated to see what he would do with it, and truly what he delivered on set was, I mean, again, I only worked with him for 6 days, but I got the sense that he just loves working with actors, that he loves discovering, that he loves, you know, really finding it and playing and empowering the actors to create it in the moment. That was my experience. I walked away feeling like, oh, I'd work with that guy a million times over.
And you guys have been developing other